Hey everyone, it's Mark here from M.Strength. Welcome back to this episode. Today we have one of my clients, Jodie, who has just completed the Break Free program, the initial 6-week program, Break Free, with us. So welcome to the episode, Jodie.
Hello, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So Jodie lives in Melbourne. She's 49, got a few goals to tick off before her big 50, has a big trip planned next year. Is it to America?
Yes,
Jodie?
New York.
Nice. Looking forward to it. She's a family partnerships team leader at a secondary school, and when she's not lifting weights in the gym and eating more food, she's enjoying going to the theatre, spending time with family and friends, and is an avid reader. So what we're going to do is just talk through Jodie's experience in going through the last 6 weeks of training and nutrition, which has been looking a lot different for her compared to what she's done in the past. So she's just done our 6-week program, Break Free, which is for women over 40, just looking to get a lot more clarity around their nutrition, around their training, a method where they're not spinning their wheels so much with things like cardio and restrictive dieting. It involves a lot more strength training, and in this phase of training, eating a lot more food, especially carbohydrates.
Yes.
Cool. Does that sound about right, Jodie?
It does, yes.
Yeah. So the first question is, why did you join Break Free, and what specific problems were you having prior to it?
For me, I've been training for a number of years, for a long time really, doing a range of different things. And I think what I was finding as I was getting a little bit older was the stuff that had worked for me, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, was no longer getting the results that I wanted. So I'm someone who's struggled with my weight my whole life. So weight has always been a bit of an issue for me. But as I've gotten older, I've been trying to find things to ensure that I build strength and get stronger. So that was certainly what drew me to this particular program, was learning more about lifting weights and what that entails.
Yeah. And just give us a bit of a rundown about kind of what you were going through within yourself prior to Break Free. So you mentioned obviously poor sleep and fatigue and that sort of stuff. So just go into a bit of that if you can.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of high intensity training. So lots of boot camps, lots of cardio stuff, some weight work within that. Been running for a number of years. So I've been built up my running from zero to completing a marathon, and I think done 11 half marathons and lots of distance running. So I've done a lot of cardio stuff, but I was finding that, again, as I'm getting older, I just was fatigued. I felt like I needed to train more. I was doing something all the time. I felt like I needed to be at the gym, doing a class, going for a run, doing something all the time. And with that, I wasn't educated enough to know what to eat to fuel what I was doing, I suppose. So I was really tired all the time. Luckily for me, I avoided injury, but on reflection, that was purely luck, I think. But I wasn't fueling my body properly for what I was doing. So really tired. My sleep was sort of a bit all over the place. Obviously, as I'm getting older, my hormones are a bit all over the place too. So trying to find some balance around all of that. And I've certainly learned the beginning of that in the last 6 weeks in working with you and through this program.
Yeah. And in going through, say, your last, 10 years of training with the HIIT and boot camp style training, what goals were you trying to get to in trying to do that?
So initially when I started that style of training, weight loss was probably the number one goal for me then, and it worked, but we're going back, 10, 15 years ago, so I was much younger. So some of those things were quite well, and I did drop the weight and increased a love of training. That was something I hadn't really done a lot of before. So I feel like, the last 15 years or so, I've certainly developed that as a lifestyle for me. So, but as I've gotten older, trying to find what that next phase was. So I was doing lots of boot camp classes, lots of running and that sort of thing. But weight loss was that initial goal. And then I introduced the running into that program through a friend of mine who convinced me to do stupid things. So we were trying to set some goals, and thought it'd be really fun to register for a 5K running event. So we did that a number of years ago, and as I say, my running base was 0, so I couldn't run a kilometre. So built up that stamina to be able to run 5Ks, and then I suppose I got a little bit hooked on that running side of things too, and increase the distance, and was doing a lot more cardio, some strength stuff with a running group to strengthen my legs and my glutes for the running. But the goal was that long distance running, but I wasn't really fueling myself properly for that, for those long distance events, in all honesty.
Yeah, okay. All right, so now that you've done the Break Free program for the last 6 weeks, it's been a bit of an eye-opener regarding training, how, strength training works, like when we're really getting into the proper, program design and all that sort of stuff. What have been the initial benefits that you've noticed in the last 6 weeks?
Sleep. I'm sleeping much better. I'm tired. I've flipped my training around too. My lifestyle's changed a little bit. I used to train a lot in the morning because I had to, first thing in the morning and then go to work. So whereas now, because of my lifestyle, I can train after work, and I'm finding, I don't know whether it's that switch of time, but I'm finding that going to bed after training, I'm really tired. So I go to training after work, come home, have a really good meal, and then I'm really tired. So I'm sleeping really well. So I'm waking up much more rested. That sort of brain fog and fatigue that I was feeling prior to doing this program has lifted, so that's been really nice. I've learned to slow down my training quite a lot. I'm not there yet, I know, Mark, but I'm getting a bit closer to than where I was. But again, that just so conditioned to that high intensity, going harder, going faster. Working with you, you're teaching me to slow everything down, and less is more almost, in terms of doing the right movements and lifting heavier weights. So getting my head around how strong I am, I suppose. It surprised me that, things that I didn't think I'd be able to do, I am able to do, and I'm really enjoying that. Yeah,
that's a really common theme with women, especially like in their, might be late 20s, in their 30s, is that they think that they need to always go in the gym, work hard for 40 to 60 minutes and just sweat it out. And they think that's the answer to get to their goal. But when we make that shift and we start doing strength training, when we start doing the right reps, sets, intensity to try and build muscle, it's a completely different training method. Completely different. Yeah, and it can be a bit hard to wrap your head around that.
Yeah, and I think with working with you, having that program for a set amount of time too has been really useful. So knowing what I'm coming in to do, so being really aware, whereas I feel like in the past I've been in classes or even in PT sessions that I've done with other trainers, it's a bit ad hoc. So you sort of just go in and you do whatever you're told to do in a particular session, then you go to the next one and it's different. So I feel like what we've been doing is really building on that, and I like seeing that. I like seeing that, last session I lifted this session you pushed me to do that little bit more, or, an extra rep, or, all those increases. So I definitely like seeing that progress, as small as it is.
Yeah, nice. And we'll go into mindset, your training and nutrition, the next 3 areas, but tell me about some mindset shifts that have, changed for you over the last 6 weeks. It might be around training, or it might be around nutrition, it might be around body composition, anything like that at all?
I think the biggest shift for me has been in the amount of training I feel like I need to do to feel like I'm doing the right thing. With you, I'm doing just the 2 sessions because that sort of fits in with my lifestyle at the moment, and then doing some Pilates and walking. So keeping quite moving, but just in a really different way than I was before. So I think that mindset of listening to what my body needs, having done some really hard sessions with you, the next day I'm like, I'm going to go for a run, or I'm going to go to this class of Pilates, or I'm going to do, and I wake up and my body's like, no, you're not going anywhere. So just listening to that and being a bit kind to that a little bit more too. So, and listening to what my body needs in terms of food. So changing that mindset around not necessarily not limiting anything, being a little bit more open to what I feel like my body needs, if that's carbs or something sweet or whatever that is, a glass of wine, I have that and I just build that in. So learning a lot around the macros and what I need in that overall package of food, not just focusing on calories in and weight on the scales. So that's always been the biggest measure for me. And although I'm weighing myself regularly as part of what we're doing, it's a piece of the puzzle for me. And whereas years ago when I was weighing myself like that, if my weight went up, I'd be really depressed that day and I'd be like, oh, that's it, what's the point? And then I'd blow it and I wouldn't exercise, or I'd eat, make some bad choices around food. That's not the case anymore. I go, oh, well, I've gone up half a kilo. Oh, I've gone up a kilo. Oh, I'm down a kilo. Like, it's sort of just interesting to see that pattern. So I feel like that mindset has changed quite a lot too, in terms of looking at the bigger picture.
The bigger picture,
like,
yeah.
Over the course, and you're teaching me to trust the process. So it might not be on the scales today or tomorrow, but it will be long term. And I think, we've taken some progress photos and I've been tracking it that way, and just seeing the difference in my body shape, and I can feel that in my clothes. I don't need to see that on the scales. The scales are telling me exactly the same thing as they were telling me 6 weeks ago, but I can feel the difference in the way that I look and the clothes that I'm wearing. So that's a really big support to shifting the mindset, I think.
Yeah, I found it really incredible that with your progress photos, you had such a quick shift in 6 weeks. But what was really interesting, and I think really just reassuring that things are working and things are happening, is that you were training less. You were only really training here like twice a week. You were doing your Pilates and walking as well. You weren't even like dieting per se. We were actually trying to increase your calories and get them up. Your body weight pretty much stayed the same, like compared to week 1 to week 6. Great, it's on point, hasn't really changed much. But when we look at your photos, like there's just been a massive shift there, and your body measurements are down. So it's just great to see that is occurring for you.
So I think really taking all changes, of those, looking at all of those pieces of the puzzle in terms of progress, rather than just looking at my weight, which is probably where my mindset has been in the past. It's just been based on what the scales have given me, and maybe a measurement here or there, but that progress in terms of the body shape, but also in looking, when we look at the program and we looked at the first week compared to the 6th week in terms of what I was being able to lift, and that was mind-blowing to me, because these were weights that I never thought I'd be able to lift. I've been using smaller dumbbells in classes, but again, high repetition, lower weight, and now shifting that. And I like that. I like that learning of what that change then will deliver. So that's all helping support that shift in mindset, I think.
What you've done in the past are things that haven't actually led to your goals. So you've got to try something different.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, they work for different points and different goals at different times. But my goals are really quite different now as I'm getting a bit older. I hate saying it, but it's the truth. But, I want to be fit and strong, and I want to be able to do all the things that I want to do. And as you mentioned, travel's a big part of that. So I want to feel strong enough to be able to do that and not have to change my plans as I get older.
Nice. All right, well, let's go into a bit of the training side of things. So how does strength training, what you've been doing with me, how does that differ fundamentally compared to what you've been doing in the past?
It's less in terms of less time at the gym. So as you said, 2 visits as opposed to, previously I was probably going 5-6 times a week to do different classes and things. Although I'm still moving most days, just that the style is quite different, and that's slowing it down. That really looking at form and lifting heavier is something I've never done before. I was always about how many reps I could pump out or how fast I could go, or it was never about how heavy. So that's been a really different shift for me in doing that, and looking at, doing less in the time at the gym because it's more concentrated and you're building on that every week. So I do like that structure around what we're doing, and being able to look back even just week to week and go, oh, well, this week I lifted X amount heavier than I did last week. And, it gives me good boasting rights at home when I get home to hubby and go, look what I did.
100%, definitely,
So it's nice, so it's good.
Yeah, the look on your face when I say, I think you can go heavier with that one, the look on your face is pretty priceless. And you're like, I don't know about that. And then you smash it out of the park.
And I think that's the benefit of having someone like you there in my corner doing that, because if I was in a gym on my own, there's no way I would have picked up the heavier weights. I'd stick with that comfort zone. Maybe I'd go up a little bit heavier, but you're certainly pushing me much faster week to week to that next progress than I would ever be able to go on my own. So, and I know that because I've tried that in the past and doing things on my own, and COVID was one of those experiences where we all had to try and do things on our own, but just seeing the difference so quickly in working with you and lifting heavier has been incredible.
Nice. All right, next question is around nutrition. So how has your nutrition changed and eating practices changed compared to before?
Yeah, I feel like I've had a relatively good handle on good nutrition for a number of years. I've spent a lot of time educating myself in that space, but in saying that, what I've learned is that I've been eating too little. So, food was a bit of an enemy of, didn't want to eat too much. And, you know, again, working with you, I've learned that to do what we're doing in the gym and to feel the way I want to feel, I've got to eat more of the right foods. So what are they and what do I need? So, you know, working with you on lifting those calories and increasing them as opposed to decreasing them. I've never done that in my life. I've always been trying to eat less. So it's been a really interesting shift on, you know, whereas previously I might have had, you know, some meat and salad for lunch. Now I'm like, oh no, I have to add some carbs to that. You know, I have to add some rice or some pasta or whatever that is to bulk it up. So yeah, that's been a really interesting move, is moving that around and also increasing the amount of protein. Like once we really started to break down each meal and see what my meals were made up of, I realized that I was under eating in carbs and in protein, really. So having to increase both of those for me. So I don't feel like my meals have changed dramatically. The sort of food I'm eating, I'm just eating more of it and I'm adding some carbs into those meals and I'm getting the results. I'm still not hungry, which is something I've probably always struggled with, you know, mid-afternoon, mid-morning, needing a snack. I'm finding because my meals are so good now, I'm not looking for those snacks anywhere near as much as I was previously.
Nice. Amazing shifts, yeah. Amazing to hear. And it's interesting to see, like, when you actually start looking into the numbers and looking under the hood, it's like, well, because obviously your goal is to lose weight and you might have been thinking that you were eating too much, potentially. What was probably happening with you was you were probably just under eating, you know, for too long, and you might have just been binge eating and just shooting those calories up, and that up and down roller coaster was just always happening for you. Yeah,
definitely. So and I think in again understanding food a little bit more, you know, looking deeper into breaking down the macros in the meals has given me some more options, things that I thought I couldn't have. I'm now finding, I can go out and have a burger with my nieces when I take them out and about, add that in quite easily to what I'm eating throughout the course of the day. So I'm finding that I feel like it's less restriction around food and much more knowledge on making the better choices wherever I am, whether that's at home or out. And I do eat out a lot, so being able to balance that, particularly over the last couple of weeks while I've been on holidays, is proof that information is working and the training is working, because it's still been able to, you know, maintain a good balance through all of that.
Fantastic. Amazing. Good to hear. And last question, if you had to recommend the program Break Free to other women, what type of women would you recommend it to, and what would you say?
Tired women. I'd say tired women, come
and lift some weights.
And I just feel like, I think what I was doing in my 20s and my 30s was certainly work for that point in my life. So I think this is particularly prevalent to women who are wanting to continue to train and build on what they've maybe learned doing high intensity stuff or some different things in, you know, their 20s and 30s, and I would say definitely women in your 40s and further on. These are life skills, and the more that we understand, you know, building strength and the benefits that brings us, the better. So I think it's certainly a great program for people who want to learn as they're going along too, to not just be told what to do. It's not a set and forget. It is really that constant learning and adapting it into your lifestyle. So it's what I've liked about it is it hasn't been, although we've done this first 6-week block, it's not a 6-week program where you do that and then that's it, it's over, go back to the way you were before. Like it's building these new life skills that you can then keep ongoing. So I'd certainly recommend it to anybody who's looking for finding what is the right fit for them, because again, working with someone like yourself, you adapted and you've gotten to know me really quickly in the time I've been working together. And when I came to you prior to starting this, you know, I'd been training at the gym with you guys for a little bit and it was great, but it wasn't hitting the mark for me. So we had a really great conversation, and straight away you came back with, well, we could do this and we could do that. It wasn't just like oh, well, too bad, that's what we've got. You know, like it or lump it. You came up with some solutions, and I've really enjoyed that. And you're very adaptable in that. So whether that's, you're not telling me I have to train 6 times a week. It's, you know, if 2 is working, then that's great. Let's maximize what we do in those 2 sessions, and giving me lots of information to support that I can do on my own. So I'd be saying to women like me, definitely give it a shot.
You're talking to yourself 6 weeks ago or 7 weeks ago right now.
And I think one great thing you did, which helped me a lot, I know, is you know, obviously you and I had some great conversations, and you've given me some really good information to go away and think about and read, but you connected me up with another member who, with Louise, who'd been through the program and been doing, so it was really great. We had a really good conversation prior to me starting, and I think that really helped build some clarity around what to expect. And she was very honest and very real, and I could really relate to that. So that was really valuable as well. So and, you know, now I get to train with Louise and see her progress, and that's been really inspiring too, to connect up with other women who are doing this program and working with you, not necessarily in the gym all the time are we together, but we're connecting online and sharing support and information. So I found that really useful as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. If you're obviously watching this video, the next phase for Jodie is a phase called Build, which goes for usually 6 months is a good amount. That's a next phase of training after Break Free. So like you said, it just doesn't end there. We're definitely not saying that. This is definitely not a 6-week challenge or a 6-week fix. Break Free is the foundation towards essentially building more muscle, which a lot of women just don't ever do. So yeah, that's what we're doing in the next phase. So it'd be amazing to see your journey over the next, 6 to 9 months. And what are you most looking forward to in the next phase? I
think it's just that continual learning. Like, I think that's what I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, continuing to see different results, whatever they look like. I don't have, a set goal weight or a set goal in terms of what I want to lift or what I want to do. Consistency for me. So being able to keep up the 2 sessions a week, keep pretty honest in my eating and my nutrition, but keep living the life that I want to live too. So that's the goal for me, is to have this incorporated into my everyday, not to just be an add-on and then have to turn it off when it gets too hard, because that's not the point for me.
Keep on going out on those school holidays and having all those lunches and brunches.
That's it. Now back to reality next week, and back to my food prep a little bit more. But again, it's easy to do. Like I said, I've been able to eat out and enjoy those things over the last couple of weeks while I've been on holidays, and it hasn't had a negative impact on my training, my sleep, all the progress that we've made through this. It hasn't altered that at all. So that's been really nice to see, and given me the reassurance that, I'm certainly on the right track and trust the process. Yeah,
you are, definitely. Trust the process. And you can probably catch Jodie in a future episode, probably once she finishes our 3 phases: Break Free, Build and Tone. So tune in then when she's completely transformed everything. Thanks for joining us today, Jodie, and we'll see you soon.
Pleasure. Thanks so much. See you later.